And I'm just gonna say this out loud and criticize The Rock a little bit. Over the past few years, he is developing a little bit of a savior complex in a lot of the things that he's been doing. Let's, take a look at some of the things he's done lately. And Reuben, you're a geek guy along with me on some of this stuff. DC Comics at with the studios. He went in, they wanted him to be Black Adam, be a Shazam villain, and all of a sudden it turns into a feature film. He wants to make it, he basically wanted to take over DC Comics Studios all of a sudden, make Black Adam the big bad villain and the center of DC Comics. It doesn't work out. The movie loses 9 figures and it's a disaster, and he ends up getting thrown out of there. He goes in to take over the XFL. It doesn't work out. They end up having to merge. Now they're with the USFL. Doesn't work out. The whole thing with the Maui rescue video that he does with Oprah comes off terribly, terribly. And he and Oprah take huge hits on that. And he has to do an apology on that one. Now he comes into WWE. He gets on the board. And we find out months ago that this whole thing was starting to get into motion way before the Cody's wins the Rumble. This wasn't happening right when all of a sudden the Vince McMahon thing broke and CM Punk got hurt. This was in the works even before that. So The Rock seems to have this attitude of when he's getting involved in something, he's going to take it over and he's going to make it better. And he's bombing out lately. And I think he needs to realize sometimes, slow your roll, bud. He's a very successful man, and I don't want to denigrate everything that he's done. I mean, he's one of the most successful men on earth. There's no question about that. But man, that ego is getting out of hand a little bit when he's walking in the door in some of these places, and he has got to learn to pull it back just a little bit. Would you guys agree with that?
I mean, here's the thing. If Rock wanted this match so bad, and TKO, the TKO management side of things agreed, despite what Triple H wanted weeks ahead of the Rumble, that Rock was facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. You know what you do? The Rock gets his ass in his trunks. He comes out at number 30 in the Royal Rumble, and he wins the damn thing.
Right.
Because at that point, Rock won the Rumble. Rock can pick whoever he wants. Rock picks Roman Reigns. Sorry, Cody. There's nothing we can do because you lost the Royal Rumble. I guarantee you some people would have still been upset, but all the I's would have been dotted and the T's would have been crossed, and it at least would have made logical sense. And they went in a completely illogical way instead, and that's why everybody has a problem with it. And they still haven't, I give them credit because of the Vince McMahon regime. I don't think they would have pivoted.
No.
I think Vince would have dug his heels in and said, nope, we're doing Rock and Roman. You're going to love it because I love it, and that's the bottom line, and we're moving on. But Triple H and Rock and everybody at TKO WWE, to their credit, read the room and said, we need to fix this. And they did, but they need to fix it creatively to finalize the foundation for this all to make sense. And I know this is eventually leading to what seems to be Cody and Rollins against Rock and Roman main event night 1 of WrestleMania 40. I'm assuming, based on the Grayson Waller effect, hosting Rollins and Cody at Elimination Chamber and Heyman speaking with Waller on SmackDown, that match is going to be set up at Elimination Chamber on Saturday. I would not be surprised if we see Rock and Roman appear at the Chamber on Saturday to confront Rollins and Cody and set up this match. But they still need to make sense as to why Cody stepped aside to begin with and why The Rock is now acting the way that he is. Because until they line that up in a nice little row, there's still going to be people like me out there that are just begging WWE to make it make sense. Yeah. And since Triple H has taken charge, they've done a much better job of making storylines cohesive, making sense, not insulting their audience. And I feel like this storyline is a blatant example of something they need to fix on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and real quick before you say something, Reuben, I mean that's part of what's so important in pro wrestling, and that's where like AEW is somewhat struggling right now, is that the stories just aren't coming together very well, and it's hurting them. And WWE was struggling with that for such a long time, and they managed to pull it together recently over the last year and a half. So that's what's making it special. It's not guys doing stuff and guys and girls doing stuff in ring. It's the story that goes along with it. Reuben, go ahead. Your
Yeah,
thoughts.
no problem. So, I mean, there's a bunch. God, there's so much to talk about when it comes to this, but it seems to me, and I might be mistaken here, but it seems to me the whole point of Roman's reign, no pun intended, as his current reign, is to put his name into record books as the longest reign in the modern era. It seems to me that's the point. Like, the overall story is 20 years from now, we get to look back and say Roman Reigns is the name in the record book instead of, like, you know, Bruno Sammartino and Bob Backlund and Hulk Hogan, right? Because those are the names at the top of the longest reigns leaderboards. So they want him at the top as long as possible. And in doing so, they've screwed the pooch on Sami Zayn. They've screwed the pooch on Cody once already, right? Like, they've sort of wasted a bunch of other opportunities to uplift new stars in the advantage of keeping Roman on top. Hell, Solo Sikoa hasn't done anything in a year and a half because of this storyline. We talk about the bloodline all the time, but it's really the Usos. I mean, the Usos have really benefited from it as well, but it's really Roman, the Usos tangentially, and that's kind of it. A lot of the other storylines are getting pushed down or diverted. Even Seth, like, is suffering because of how much oxygen the bloodline storyline is taking up in the room. So do you cut that off in 50 days from now, and you don't have the number on the streak yet, but you get the Cody Mania that you want? You know, at what point is the tipping point where we do get the Bryan Danielson effect, where he wins the championship, or is it another coming up short moment for someone like Cody, where, you know, we just don't see the title change again? It continues to be kind of stagnant. Like, how many times are we going to see the same match with Roman? It's a cool story. The bloodline story and Roman's story is amazing, but they've managed to take a cancer survivor and make him a not liked person. You know, it's mind-blowing to me. And I don't know where the breaking point is for that. And that's where I'm at with it. It's a fascinating drama. It's why I enjoy the writing, but you gotta stick the landing. And the landing is, when does Roman lose?
Great point. Reuben, you're the man. I missed you so much.
Thanks, buddy.